Hello and welcome to Art Club. We are learning all about fiber friends this week, so we have a really cute project ready for you today. As you can probably see the jellyfish right over there. That's what we are going to be making, and there's going to be so much room for your artistic interpretation and creativity to be added in at the end. So let's just take a quick little look at what this might look like once it's all done. You can see how cute that is. Isn't that adorable? All right, so what materials are we going to need today? Let's get that out first. You'll notice that we will have the option of using watercolor paints. So I do have some paper set down here for me. Maybe you use a tablecloth, maybe you use a paper bag. I just have some black paper kind of taped to that area. So I've got my watercolors and my water dish and paintbrush ready to go. We're also going to need scissors, glue. We're going to need a hole puncher for today. We're going to need a crafting stick. Sometimes these are also called tongue depressors. We're going to need the color of paper you would like for your jellyfish to be. I'm choosing red for mine, and I actually found a matching, or at least a coordinating red yarn for it. You could choose to have your jellyfish all be the kind of similar color like I'm going to do today, or you could do where there's multiple colors. So maybe you want to have all different shades of yarn, or maybe 2 different colors of yarn. Totally up to you. But we'll also need some color paper and some yarn for today. And we're going to need our paper plate. And then, of course, like I said, there is going to be room for some creativity at the end. So you could also use other things as well to decorate. Maybe you've got some markers to decorate with. Maybe you want to give your jellyfish some eyes, and you want to get out some googly eyes. So there's going to be all kinds of room for extra fun to make your jellyfish just the way you want it. So I'm going to clear my space up a little bit here. The first things I am going to need, I'll leave the glue because I'll need that soon, are my paper and my scissors. Okay, so those are the first supplies that we need. I want to make sort of an upside down U shape that's going to be about the size of your full hand. Okay, obviously my hand is bigger than yours is. So you could probably hold your hand here like that and just kind of make a U shape around it like that. Okay? And I'm going to now cut that out. I want to make sure once again that that U shape is big enough. Like mine is, it fits around my hand. But we want to make sure it's big enough so that we can actually see the jellyfish and kind of work with it and decorate it. But we need it to also be smaller than our plate, as you can imagine, right? We wouldn't want it to be so big that it is bigger than the background. So something sort of like that will be perfect. Now is probably one of my favorite steps. And of course, if you need to at any point, feel free to pause and rewind this video as much as needed so I'm working at your pace. All right, one of my favorite steps. We're going to get out that hole puncher. It can be a little bit hard, especially with little hands, to punch those holes through. So if you need to use your at-home mentor and ask for some help, feel free to do that. All right, I want you to notice that as I'm punching these holes, I'm leaving a little bit of space in between them. I don't want them to be too close because you might actually have the 2 holes joined together, and we don't want that. So I'm just going across. We're all going to have a different amount of holes. It's going to depend on the width of our jellyfish. Let's see, how many did I end up? 3, 6. I ended up with 10. But you, I'm going to guess, are going to have less than that because your hand's just not as big as my hand is. So my guess is you're going to have less because yours is going to be a little smaller. All right, once we've got those holes punched out, we're going to go ahead and take our yarn. And remember, you can switch up the colors if you want many colors. I'm just going to stick with the same color for the whole thing. but I'm going to pull that on through. And once again, I'm going to use my hand as a measuring tool. So I'm going to keep the string so it's about the length of my hand, something like that. As you can tell right now, that string is not secure, right? So I am going to need to tie it. If this is a skill you're still working on and still learning, once again, feel free to ask your at-home mentor for a little help. I'm going to do a double knot here. And as I'm doing the double knot, I'm going to be very careful not to pull it really tight because I'll probably rip the paper on my jellyfish. So I'm going to kind of just make sure I'm pulling it tight enough that it's going to stay in place, but not so tight that it's going to rip that little piece of paper there. All right, we're going to keep on going here. So I'm going to go kind of quick through this part, but if you want to pause it or rewind to take a little bit more time, definitely feel free to do so. Once again, just going through and tying double knots each time. I'm going to go all the way across. And I'm not really worried right now if there's different lengths for my jellyfish tentacles here. First off, I actually think it looks kind of cute when they all are different lengths. I feel like it looks more like it's realistic and in movement, which I really like. But I'll show you a trick at the end if you do want them all to be perfectly the same length. These are really good skills for you guys to be learning. I know it can be really tricky getting the yarn through those little holes, practicing tying knots. Those are definitely skills that, you know, we have to learn, and they're not easy, right? You're probably noticing that as you're doing this right now. It's not super easy, but this is a wonderful thing about art. As we're learning and practicing these skills, these are transferable skills, so as we're learning them in art, they're skills that we're going to be able to use in other parts of our life as well, right? Sometimes we need to be able to, you know, get something. Look at this, the static, you guys. Do you see that? It looks like it's dancing. Look at that. Ah, such a dry day today. That static electricity, it's real. It's real. But yeah, tying knots too, that's another thing that, you know, there's going to be times where maybe we need to very carefully be able to tie a knot so there's not to break something. So these are great skills to be practicing together and having fun while doing it in our art club time. Let's see, it looks like I've got 4 more to go. How about you? How many more do you have left? You might have more, you might have less. We're just going to keep working together. If I'm going too slow, feel free to fast forward to the next step. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause. Beautiful thing. 3 more to go. Once again, I'm kind of measuring roughly. I'm not too worried about if they're all exactly the same size. I'll show you a trick for that once I'm done in 2 here. Cannot believe, look at how staticky this is. They're just, woo! I better not touch anybody. I'm going to get a shock from them. Or I guess they'd probably be getting the shock from me. Alright. Alright, coming on through. Cut that little guy. 1 more to go after this. There we go, last one. There we go, gotta tie that one up. Alright, last knot. And we're done with that part. Okay, this might be kind of tricky for me to show you with it being so staticky like this. But let's see what we can do here on the camera. So you'll notice right now that all of mine are kind of different lengths. Actually, they're pretty even for a lot of them, but they are different lengths. I kind of like that, but if you don't, you can always go on in and just sort of give it a little haircut, a little trim, right? and get them all so they're more close to the same. But that's going to be a personal preference. Definitely not a requirement. Woo! That's static. All right, my next step, this jellyfish has gone crazy. My next step is going to be to glue my crafting stick onto the back side. And I want to make sure that I've got enough of the stick coming down. I wouldn't want to glue it like that because then there's not much space for me to hold on to it. So I do want to glue it towards the lower edge. You know, make sure there's enough space that it's going to have enough glue on there to stick. So maybe about a quarter size or so of glue will work really well for this. And then I'm going to go ahead and push that on down and set my jellyfish off to the side. We're going to give that just a little bit of time to dry over here while I work on my next step. So my next step is going to involve my scissors again, as well as my plate. And we need to cut a line along the lower half. You don't actually have to draw the line, but I'm going to, just so it's easier to tell what's happening in the video. So I'm going to want to cut a line that's somewhere kind of on the lower half of my plate, like that. We wouldn't want it up in the middle because it doesn't give our jellyfish as much background to swim around in. So when I have this, what I'm going to do is kind of fold my plate, not all the way. I don't want to actually create a crease there or anything, but just folding enough. And if we need an adult to help with this stuff, definitely feel free to do so. I'm just going to fold it enough that I can give it a little snip. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a little snip in there. When I open it back up, you'll be able to see there's that snip in there. That's as big as it is right now. So I'm going to need to cut it some more. Once again, if this is a new skill and you want to get your at-home mentor for help on this one, feel free to do so. I just want to cut it kind of to, on your plate you should see a little ridge that goes around the edge. You just want to cut it up to that ridge. We don't want to go all the way through to the edge. So something kind of like this, and you can see that's about how big that's going to be. Now, you might want to give your jellyfish a little bit more time, but I just want to show you how this is going to work out. That stick of your jellyfish is going to come down through to the back side of the plate. So you can kind of see that comes back there. And I might want to bring all my little jellyfish tentacles up to the front, all the yarn. And you can see now essentially we do have this project done enough that it could be, you know, you could use it and play with it. But you might also want to add some more flourishes and fun to it, right? So we've got some googly eyes. You can actually take the little sticker off the back of these, but I actually find that to be really difficult to do. So I think it's usually easier to just glue it. I usually just glue them because for me, I'll sit there for sometimes 30 seconds just trying to peel off the back, whereas to glue it is like, okay, here's 5 seconds and we're done. So totally up to you though. You can try either peeling off the back, and once again, you don't even have to have the eyes on there. All of these decoration type steps, you get to choose what you'd like to do for that. Maybe you even decide to give your jellyfish a little smile. You could do that too, right? Got a cute little happy face there. I'm just using some markers that I had at home for that. But you could do other ways as well. Maybe it has, I'm going to pick a different color here. Maybe we give it some eyebrows or eyelashes. So you can have fun with it. Decorate your jellyfish however you want to. You might also want to decorate your background. This is where those watercolors can come into play. So I'm going to choose blue for my background because where do those jellyfish live? Well, they live in the water, don't they? So we're going to want to give this jellyfish some water here. I'm going to paint that blue. Add a little bit more watercolor here. Make that look quite beautiful for my jellyfish to swim around in. You can go all the way to the edges or kind of leave the edges like a border color. You could do that too. Once you've got the background painted blue or however you want it, another option, once you let it dry for a little bit, you might choose to add some other stuff to it. So maybe I choose to use some crayons or markers, and maybe I add in some seaweed, right? That'd be kind of cute for your jellyfish to be dancing among the seaweed here. So I could add something like that going across. Maybe I want to add in a little fishy. Let's see here. So we could add a little fish. Boop, boop, boop. In the background. Maybe something like that. Maybe my little fishy has an eyeball. And maybe the little fishy is blowing some bubbles. So you can have fun with that too. And decorating that background so that when all is said and done, you've got a cute little scene. Once again, we just stick the crafting stick down through that portion of the plate. And oh my goodness, how happy and cute is that? Once you're finished with this project, as a reminder, don't forget to come on into our slides and click on where it says Hall of Frame. This is a great place for us to be able to share our artwork with each other and potentially even get our artwork into the end of the year art show. All I have to do is come on in and claim my frame by putting in my name. Once again, you can ask an adult for help with this. And then it's as simple as this. You come on up to Insert, Image, and choose Camera. And then you're going to hold your cute little scene up to your Chromebook camera and hit Capture. It'll automatically add your picture in there. And of course, if you want to be in the picture too, you're more than welcome to. I cannot wait to see how these turn out, you guys. Thank you so much for joining in and having some fun with me today. We'll see you next time.